Hello everyone, my name is Bennett Goff. Today for our Latino Studies final project, we're going to be interviewing 8 different student athletes from around campus. Our goal today is to find out whether Latinos actually have equal representation in Dartmouth athletics. Enjoy the video.
Hi, my name is Diego. I am a 17. I am a member of the varsity men's tennis team here at Dartmouth. I am 20 years old and I was born in Bogota, Colombia.
I am Adon Rivas. I am 16. I'm from Central Massachusetts. My parents are from Central America, so that would qualify me as a first-generation Hispanic American.
So, my name is Frankie Hernandez. I'm from Miami, Florida, and I play football here at Dartmouth.
Alright, so my name's Ricardo Gomez. I was born in Caracas, Venezuela. I grew up there, lived there until I was about 9 years old when I moved to Miami, Florida. I am in the varsity men's soccer team here at Dartmouth. I play center defender or defensive midfielder, and I am a sophomore.
Good. Alright, so my name is Emmanuel Arteaga. I go by Manny on campus. I'm 17. I'm from San Diego, California, and I'm Mexican American.
Hi, my name is Garrett Strohmeyer. I'm a sophomore, class of 2017 from Elk Grove, California, right outside Sacramento, and I play interior offensive line on the football team.
Hi, I'm Ellie Gonzalez and I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I am a member of the cross country and track team and I'm 18 at Dartmouth.
Hi, I'm Cara Lujan. I'm a 16 on the volleyball team. I play middle blocker and I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Yeah, so my name is Leandra Pilar Barrett. I'm a senior. I'm a 15. I play women's rugby. I'm a number 8 when I play 15s and a scrum half when I play 7s. And I'm from South Texas. And I'm Mexican American.
Hi, I'm Sophia. I'm from San Antonio, Texas, and I play rugby here at Dartmouth.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think Roger Federer for sure is my favorite player, but I also sort of like identified a little bit with Rafael Nadal from Spain, just because, well, there's that Hispanic sort of like heritage.
I started watching soccer when I was very young, and back then, one of the big players from Real Madrid was Raul Gonzalez, which he actually right now plays for the New York Cosmos here in the United States.
So, Oscar de la Hoya is a huge boxer. He was my favorite growing up, and definitely looked up to him and everything he, stood for. He was from East Los Angeles, so I felt like very close to him because he was also Mexican American and kind of grew up in a barrio the way I did, Soccer-wise, I looked up to Jorge Campos, which was a really small goalie, like very short goalie. Who played professionally in the Mexican.
My favorite athlete growing up, I love watching Tony Gonzalez, tight end for the Chiefs. I played football and I was a tight end for a while until I put on the weight, but that's somebody I emulated and always wanted to be like, representing the Latino heritage as well.
Well, I think definitely it varies from sport to sport, and the broader context. But when speaking about Hanover, I think yes, they are. I mean, I think that there are not as many Latin Americans at Dartmouth, especially athletes, as I would like to see. I think soccer might be a sport that might have a couple, even baseball, but zero actually baseball. Never mind. But I think I would like to see more Latin Americans, definitely in sports.
There are at least a handful of Latinos on the rugby team, and we have sort of bonded over that. It's really helpful to feel validated, like, culturally on my team.
So I definitely think it's a general Ivy League thing because obviously I've played against all the Ivy Leagues 2 years now, and I haven't really seen many Hispanics in any of the other teams, but I actually think me and Manny might be one of the few in the whole Ivy League soccer that are Hispanic. But I would definitely say the cold is one of the big things because obviously people that grow up in South America, Central America, are not used to this cold. So I feel like that definitely keeps one of the things. But I also think recruiting in general, there's this stereotype that Hispanics they'll probably be worried that they won't make it through college, they won't finish it off. Also, Hispanics are a lot more oriented a lot of the time to wanting to play professionally, and going to an Ivy League school is probably not the highest stepping stone to play professional. You'll have to work a lot harder, not only in your studies, but to get seen by professional teams.
Yeah. I think my first gut reaction is they're underrepresented, but I think that's more of a reflection of the student body as a whole and not necessarily sports teams specifically. There aren't many Latino and Latina students at Dartmouth generally, and so there's even fewer of them that play sports.
Yeah, well, so the school I went to was actually all boys Catholic school, so in a way it didn't represent the demographic of the area as well, but there were higher amounts of Latino and African American players on the team, percentage wise. So coming here, it definitely was a transition. There's only a couple Latino guys, I believe 3 on the team right now, Latino heritage guys, but I look at it as a way to be able to represent the Latino culture and heritage. Not with there not being as much as a number, I can basically be that voice for speak for the many that aren't there, be one of the few to speak for the many, and kind of represent my culture by just being a multiracial individual, being Latino, and being the Dartmouth football team.
When it comes to Latinos looking at places like Dartmouth up in the Northeast, I think one of the biggest things is the climate and the geography. Most Latinos are from much warmer places like myself, and another thing is obviously the culture shock. It's the people are definitely different. While it's not necessarily a bad thing, it's different. So I think a good way to expand the Latino population among not only student athletes but students in general is to get them to connect with the Latinos who are already here, and have those of us who are already here talk about our experiences here and what's the same and what's different, and how they're both good in that everything that's the same helps us be comfortable, but everything that's different helps us to grow past what we were surrounded with when we were kids. I felt like I grew up in a bubble in Miami. I was exposed to a very little amount of things. And coming here, I definitely got to expand my boundaries in terms of the people that I knew and the types of things I was able to learn. And for the weather, it's definitely colder, but it's not that bad, and it's worth the experience. So I think getting people in touch with Latinos that are already here would definitely help out.
Yeah, I think it's partly the location, just like the Northeastern in general, but especially Hanover. It's not very racially diverse from what I've seen, and Hanover itself is a very wealthy area and the surrounding towns. So I think it has a lot to do with where the socioeconomic region that people are coming from. And so I actually haven't run into that many people from my area in general. So and as a student athlete, very few people, other athletes who are from my area. So I definitely think it has a lot to do with that, and I've been really lucky growing up to always go to good schools, and I actually have a scholarship that targets specifically students of lower income areas who are high achieving. So I think I've been lucky in that regard, but not everyone is that lucky. So I think until we see a shift where people of lower socioeconomic status are having the resources, then we're not going to see an increase.
I think that it's also just harder to recruit in these areas, especially coming to the Northeast. It's really far away. You have to get kids who want to go far away to school, and then beyond that, it's just a completely new environment. The New England is cold, and I'm used to about 340 days of sun a year. We get snow, but it's still sunny. And so coming up here in winter, freshman year, I was just wow, everything, it's gray and it's white and that's it. And I'm used to just various shades of brown. Pretty all year round, various shades of brown.
So pretty much my senior year, I was kind of choosing between playing football and playing soccer, because I played football for the last 2 years of my high school as a kicker, and I was getting recruited for that. But then kind of Dartmouth came along pretty late my senior year. I had been talking to a few other Ivy Leagues, but then Dartmouth came along. The assistant coach, which also recruited another Hispanic kid in my class, really liked the Hispanic soccer and felt that we could bring a new component to the Dartmouth soccer team. And he kind of convinced me to come. They were trying to play a more possession style soccer, which is a little bit more what I grew up playing with. So I figured that coming to Dartmouth was probably the best thing I could do for my future, because not only would I be playing for a great soccer team, but I would also be getting one of the best educations in America. And that's definitely something that I wanted to like do for my parents, for the sacrifice they made coming to this country and leaving like their works and their friends and the family behind, just for me and my sister to like get a better opportunity.
I came to the United States when I was 13. My family still lives in Colombia. I moved to a tennis academy in Florida. So that was kind of a little bit of a shock. I didn't speak English quite well, so that was a struggle. But you know, I really wanted to pursue tennis and my studies, and I think being able to practice at IMG, which was the academy where I practiced, was a fantastic experience. I got to travel the world because of tennis. I was debating whether to try the professional tour for a bit before coming to college, but you know, I thought college tennis was a great chance, especially with scholarships and financial aids that can help. And so I was recruited by a lot of schools, big state schools, and but you know, I was contacted by coaches from the Ivy League and visited and really liked this place. Back then I had a very good friend from Colombia, actually, which I had played tennis with from like 10 years old, and he's a senior now. So he played he was the one who introduced me to the coach, and when I came to my visit, I'd stay with him. He showed me the school, and I really loved it. I think you know, I saw myself fitting in here quite well, and I think I made the right choice.
So Ricky and I, so when I first saw Ricky, I was like a little hopeful, because I was like, okay, this guy's brown, he looks the same, you know, this could be good, you know. And then I saw the rest of the team, and I was like, whoa, like opposite of where I come from. Usually it's like all brown, and then one white guy, you know, and he always, you know, he was always the loner back home. That's how it was. And then coming here was like, oh my gosh, like all white, 2 Latinos, like what? So initially it was like a little awkward for me, just like having to interact with all white team, you know, all white coaches, the same, as well. And soccer wise, like the style is very different. Like I relate a lot to Ricky, because Latin America, you have this like different style of play, and we kind of brought that to the team, but the team had a different style. So Ricky and I kind of had like, we were like on the same grounds, like soccer wise. Like we like to keep the ball, move it around, and have a lot of possession with it. And this team was like very physical, like just strong, like big athletes and stuff, and it was difficult to adjust at the beginning to this style.
I started playing tennis when I was 7 years old. It's been my passion ever since. Of course, growing up as a kid, it was always soccer, which is the national sport for us, and pretty much all the Latin American countries.
So I started playing football at a very early age. I was about in kindergarten, and my cousin was playing first, actually. My uncle convinced my dad to get me in, so I started playing. My cousin was a year older than I was, so I started playing on his team. I was technically too young to start playing, but my dad snuck me in, kind of lied about my age, and started playing then. And then ever since then, I think it's been about 15, 16 years now almost that I've been playing football. So it's 15, 16 years straight, so I haven't stopped since then. Yeah, being from Miami, the community that I lived in was a lot like me. It was all Cuban Americans, pretty much all the people I grew up around was same situation as me. All their grandparents had immigrated from Cuba, and there was a high representation of Cubans among not only my classmates but also my football teammates, and that carried over from Pee Wee football to high school, where I went to a high school that was actually founded in Cuba. And when Fidel Castro took over, it was a Jesuit high school. When Fidel Castro took over, he expelled the Jesuits and they relocated to Miami, so the high school was reestablished in Miami. So my high school was actually about 95% Hispanic, mostly Cuban. So my football team in high school was pretty much all Cuban too. And we joke around how when you compare my high school's roster to another team's roster in Miami, it would look more like a Brazilian soccer team's roster with all the last names being Hernandez or Alvarez or something like that. So growing up, yeah, I definitely played mostly with other Hispanic kids as well. It was actually an interesting dynamic because it wasn't something that I thought of. I never thought of myself as a minority being in Miami, and the high school that I went to, like I said, it was mostly Hispanic, so I was always part of the majority. And it was never really something that I thought of. And coming to Dartmouth, it was kind of a change, and it was a little bit of a culture shock at first, being one of two Latinos on the football team. But it's definitely been an easy transition in that everyone's been extremely welcoming, and while there's only two Latinos, there's people from all different types of backgrounds, not only in the football team, but also in Dartmouth.
Well, definitely, obviously, just seeing me, they'll automatically identify me as Latino, obviously. But I feel like, personally, I identify myself a little bit more as a student athlete because I don't really feel like I've had any racial issues at Dartmouth. At least not to me personally. I have seen them happen, but I'm always more focused on I have to get to do this, or I have to go to practice and stuff like that. But I don't know, at least all the friends I've made don't really identify me, I guess, Latino or student athlete first, or just the person I am. I'm they're my friends just because of the person I am, not because I'm Latino. It's cool to be friends with a Hispanic person, or it's cool to be friends with a soccer player. I mean, at least that's the way I look at it from my point of view.
I would say that there's never ever been a time where there were a lot of, or a significant presence of any form of minorities in rowing or cycling, and I would say it would, in terms of cycling, it would be really hard because it's very individually based. So, and the financial costs associated with that's something that's really hard to overcome, especially for kids that are coming from inner cities or under-resourced areas. But
financial issues of participation in sports can play a factor. I've struggled to pay dues for rugby, and I'm really grateful that we're going varsity next year because I won't have to do that anymore. So I think that it can be a factor, just financially, but I also think that there's sort of a cultural thing there as well.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think that'd be great for our people, Latinos, but also for minorities as well, to encourage this group to reach further than what is common.
I feel like it's tough to say because I do think some coaches, depending on their style of soccer, are more lenient towards recruiting a specific player, which Hispanics normally do grow up playing possession styles. So for example, if you see some of the ACC teams or teams in in the Pac-12, they'll be heavily Hispanic. Right? If you probably go UCLA or Cal State, you probably see more than half or 2/3 of the team will be Hispanic. So I feel like it's definitely will be kind of tough to implement because then you would be forcing a coach to maybe recruit players that he doesn't feel would fit his system. So it'd be players that probably won't play. So I don't know if that would be a great idea. It would definitely obviously create diversity, and it might change the style of the game throughout the country. But I don't know if it would be a good idea, because then you would also be like having players coming here and the coach not seeing them being on the field for 3 or 4 years because they don't fit his system. So I don't think forcing a coach to recruit players that he doesn't feel fit his system would help like diversity, because then it would just create like maybe it would become a race thing. Maybe like the Hispanics or the black like players would feel like it's a race thing against them that they're not playing.
Thank y'all so much for checking out our video today. Ben and I really enjoyed doing this project, telling the stories of Latino athletes at Dartmouth. We definitely had a tough time finding Latino student athletes to interview at Dartmouth, but that's a trend that we've seen across the Ivy League and even nationwide. We feel that by telling Latino stories, you're going to create more role models in order for young Latinos and Latinas to look up to. So we feel that telling stories is the way to go and the way to lead to better representation at the college level and at the national level.